Pedersen got it to Besser in front, backhander scores! The puck back in. Campoli trying to clear it. Burrow just pressed. Off the puck loose to Edwards. Back in for Alex Burrow, gets up in the air. And now McKinnon the side. No! With the left glove! Are you kidding me? What a save!
Hey, Canucks Nation, Brandon Alston here, play-by-play for the Edmonton Canucks. You've got it locked in the line change, the Vancouver Canucks podcast.
What's up, Canuck fans? Welcome to the Line Change podcast. We got a very, very special guest, a long overdue, for sure. We got the Clayfather himself, as I so eloquent put it last night in the post-game show. Very, very close friend of mine, a mentor. I've said in the past, that's still the case. I see him as a mentor. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Clay Imoo, Canuck Clay. How's it going, buddy?
I'm great, Tyler. How are you on the Sunday? You got me okay?
I'm doing all right.
Okay, good.
We're doing all right for a Sunday. Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
All right, so even though a large portion of my audience probably knows who you are, but just in case some may not know who you are, quickly just introduce yourself, let everyone know what it is that you do, and yeah, we'll take it from there.
Awesome. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Clay Imoo, also known as Canuck Clay. I am first and foremost a father to 3 wonderful children, a husband to a wonderful wife, Gail, and I work for the Catholic Church full time. But in my spare time, I spend a lot of time, energy, and money on this very bad hockey team this year. I have a YouTube channel, been around for about 15 years, solely dedicated to the Canucks for the past 7 or 8 years of that. And I guess a lot of previews, a lot of reviews, a lot of live streams, reaction videos. But my bread and butter is 5 nights a week. I'm going live to get reactions from people and just to build some good community. That's how I got to meet Tyler through that. So I'm very blessed that way. And then every October I try I don't know why I do this. I'm a 51-year-old man who can barely stay awake for 8 hours at a time, but I do a 24-hour live stream to kick off the season every year. And that's kind of like my kind of focus piece of my channel. But generally, I'm just here I'm not a media member. I'm not an expert. I'm not a fancy stats guy. I'm just a guy who, like I said, spends time, energy, and money on this team, goes to games as a season ticket holder for the past 15 years, vlogger as well. I'm trying to build the best community I can. And it's through that community that I've met wonderful people like you, Tyler.
Yeah. Well, very well said. I forgot to mention the founder of the GLCPC.
Yes, of which you're a longtime member of.
Yeah, it's great. I did mention it in the description down below. Also in the description down below, I have Clay's Twitter as well as a link to his YouTube channel as well. You guys can check that out. But let's get into some Canucks talk, because it's Talking Canucks, not Canucks Talk. Sorry, that name was taken. So a little bit of a gimmick infringement there. But no, so yeah, this is Talking Canucks. Obviously, last night Canucks suffered another loss to the Kraken, unfortunately. But hey, if you're all in for the tank, obviously you're probably very happy about that. And hey, at least the Canucks did get a goal. It was actually my new favorite player, Liam Ogren, or one of my new favorite players, I should say, Liam Ogren. But let's get into some trades with the deadline coming up very quickly here on Friday. And actually, I did a video earlier today as I happened to be watching Sekeres and Price the other day, and they had Jeff Marek on, who I absolutely love his stuff. I love when they have Jeff Marek on. But he proposed a trade for Elias Pettersson, and he mentioned Pittsburgh as being a potential destination. And he actually even had a trade package lined up too. So the trade package is Elias Pettersson for William Horkoff, who's a first-round draft pick from this past draft, Samuel Girard, who the Penguins just got in a trade with the Avalanche, Tommy Novak, and 2 second-round picks. Would you do something like that for PD?
You know, I think up until last month, Tyler, I would have said no, just because, as you know, I'm a big PD fan, and I obviously the team will go as he goes with Hughes and Miller gone, and as Rutherford mentioned in his interview last week. But you know, after last night and after just the discourse around him, it's just getting so loud once again, and not a very movable contract at all, of course. So if something like that happens where you have 5 assets coming the other way, I don't know a lot about Horkoff, to be honest with you. I've actually liked Samuel Girard ever since he's been a pro, even though he's way older than I thought he was. Novak gives you some depth, and then the fact that you can continue to add assets in the draft, and I think the biggest thing is you get off of that 11.6, right? I would be open to it as much as I like PD, and I still want PD to succeed. That's interesting to me. Did Merrick hear this, or did he just come up with it as a hypothetical?
I think he just I think he both came up with it and said he was talking to somebody about it.
Interesting.
And a lot of it weighed on whether or not the Penguins end up keeping Malkin. So I think this only really happens or they actually maybe target PD, is if Malkin either retires or goes to another team, which I don't think will happen because he's made it known himself. He doesn't want to play anywhere else. But if he does choose to retire, that's going to leave a big gaping hole at the center ice position for the Penguins.
Yep.
And he did mention, it basically weighs on Malkin, but he did mention Dubas might see PD as a reclamation project. And apparently Dubas likes his reclamation projects.
What did you think of it when you first? Yeah, when you first heard it, what did you think?
I thought it was interesting. I was a little. I mean, part of me was surprised, but part of me wasn't, because it has to do with Pittsburgh.
Good point.
A lot of people like to point towards Pittsburgh because of the familiarity with Rutherford and Alvin. They've already made a couple trades since they've been in management here in Vancouver. I was a little surprised, and partly was not, but I'm open to it. I did do a little bit of research prior to that video just to look into see what Horkoff is.
Yeah.
And I don't think I still have it up, but I do remember seeing in the NCAA, he's got, I think it's 35 points in 34 games in the NCAA. So that's pretty good. Like, I wouldn't classify it as maybe McKenna level, but still 35 points in 34 games is pretty good. So I was like, maybe Jeff is onto something here. I don't know too much about Girard, just that he's played a lot in Colorado. I do know that Girard is a playoff performer. Well, not a performer, but he has lots of playoff experience. I actually did the math, over 60 games, playoff games he's played. And then Novak, like you said, I think he's just a depth piece. He's very similar to PD, at least with points this year. And, obviously 2 seconds. Give us some more draft picks. But if you really think about it, Horkoff, you're actually technically getting a first as well through Horkoff, because Horkoff was a first-round pick.
And I must admit, I probably didn't give Tommy Novak enough credit. As I'm looking up here, Tyler, as you're speaking. Yeah, he's 28 years old, so he's not too old. He's basically PD's age. But yeah, he's over a 0.5 point per game pace. Like, he has 150 points in 262 games. That's closer to 0.5, 0.6, 0.55, 0.6. So that's not bad. So that's a middle six guy right there. So, you add it all together with the first round draft pick in Horkov, the 2 seconds, and Girard, a veteran defenseman. I make that trade now because that's 11.6, like I said, that you're getting off of.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. But moving on to someone else, where do you think? And I know there's been talk about this. I mean, it seems like everyone's talking about everyone from the Canucks at this point, but there's been some discussion about Jake DeBrusk and where he may end up, and the fact that he's willing to waive his no-move clause. We've obviously heard the Oilers. I think I even may have heard Boston at one point, which actually kind of surprised me a little. But where do you think he could end up if he were to be dealt?
Yeah, if he's going to get dealt, Tyler, it's going to be somewhere where he doesn't have to be a top liner. Right here, we've seen him light up with PD and Kane as recently as the game's coming off of the break. Started the year with PD and Besser. So on this team, he's a first liner because we simply don't have three other forwards that have a better pedigree than him. But I think any team where he doesn't have to shoulder that many minutes, any team where they can almost survive his streakiness, right? Scores a bunch of goals in this month and kind of goes quiet. So it could be any team, we call it West or East, but any team where he doesn't have to be on the top line, he could fit in a middle six role. And, his contract's not bad. It's not brutal, but it's not great, but it's not brutal. It's kind of right in the middle. It's kind of middle six money. But so I kind of, that points to what our problem is we have him slotted as a top liner, but he simply doesn't produce as a top liner. Yeah. He's less than a point every two games, 28 and 58 this season. Right. So, last year a bit better, 48 and 82. And the year before that was 40. Yeah. Well, I just saw in Boston, he had 50 and 64 one year. That's pretty good. So Boston's interesting. I could see any team that has a bit of cap space. We know that a lot of teams have cap space. There aren't a lot of teams in a salary crunch this year. So it's not like the Canucks have a lot of, in previous years where you could actually go after a team that was in cap trouble, help them out for a little bit, But that's it. I just get the sense, Tyler, I'm not sure if you'd agree with me, that's not going to happen this year. There simply aren't a lot of teams in cap trouble. So the Canucks can't go to these teams and say, we'll take a guy for you, throw in something else and we'll do that for you. And I think that's why it's so quiet right now, right? 1 week before the trade deadline. And we're not, the biggest story is an offer that went to Tyler Myers a week ago.
Yeah. I'm glad you actually brought up Myers and mentioned, there not being a whole lot of cap crunch.
Yep.
Gerald and I talked about it on the postgame show last night, but it looks like Dallas might be in a bit of a crunch. So the Canucks might have to do exactly that and take someone back just for them if they were to trade Myers to Dallas.
Right.
And I think both G and I agreed that Dallas is probably the better fit than Detroit. Just because of, family reasons. He's from Texas. His mom lives there. I just think it's a better fit. And I actually did a bit of I don't want to say a hot take, but if you want to call it a hot take, you can. But I would not be surprised if tomorrow he gets traded to Dallas and he plays against Vancouver.
Wow. That's a pretty hot take to get traded. Because everyone not everyone, it's widely known or at least rumored that Detroit is the actual offer with teams like Dallas and Anaheim lurking. But can you imagine, getting traded to the team that's secondary, then playing them on that same day, and then actually just showing up as normal for your game day routine, but going to the other locker room. But then whatever, they're fast, right? Equipment, jerseys, I'm sure they get all that figured out. That is a hot take, Tyler. I like that. I like that. What do you want to see? Maybe you're going to ask me this. Do you think the fan base would call Myers, maybe you talked about this last night, selfish if he actually doesn't waive? Because he's earned that right? So he's in a very tricky situation, I think.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. And we did talk about this a little bit on the post game. At least I did. I mentioned how, we don't know if he's actually rejected the Detroit offer, but if he does, I wouldn't blame him. It's his decision. He earned that no move clause. And especially with his situation and, family scenario and whatnot, and the reasons behind him wanting to stay here or be close, not having to move too far away from BC, I do not blame him one bit. And I would not have any ill will towards him if he, was being picky with where he went.
Yep.
And that's also how much respect I have for Myers too, as I just think he's a great guy too. He's done a lot of things for the community and he's been a leader, and, I just hope he goes somewhere that is a contender and he has a chance to win a cup.
Yeah. Yeah. There are just so many fascinating layers to it because you have Detroit too saying, well, what the heck, what's taking give us a yes or no, right? It's been a week. So they might even say, sorry, offer's off. We got to move on. So I wouldn't say it's Myers' fault, but in essence, by taking the time to make the decision, which he's allowed to do, he's definitely holding up Detroit, and he's probably holding up There's debate whether Vancouver has other, irons in the fire, so to speak, but he's in essence, you could argue he's holding up two teams right now. So I could see them pushing for a decision from him by tomorrow for sure. Absolutely tomorrow for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I also think if Dallas were to offer the Canucks a second round pick, I think they jump at it.
Yep. That's fair. That's totally fair. That's totally fair.
Mm-hmm.
So then you guys, you and Gerald were talking about that if Dallas is in a cap crunch, then we got to take one of their players and then we can just move him or trade them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like next year. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any candidates?
Yeah, we did kind of talk a little bit.
Yeah.
We did talk a little bit about Maverick Bork, but that's a bit of a stretch.
Okay.
I mean, I really like Bork, but I don't think Dallas would be willing to move him. I don't know off the top of my head what his salary is, or if it would even be enough. But he was one name that we both kind of tossed back and forth, just because I really like Bork, and I think that would be a great trade, and I would accept it in a heartbeat if it was for Maverick Bork. So
yeah. And who knows? We might, if we end up picking third, we're going to get Keaton Verhoff, and then we'll have Hronek, Verlander, and Verhoff as our right side for the next few years.
Yeah. But moving past the Tyler Myers stuff, because I actually heard this recently, and actually I meant to talk about it on the post game last night, but I completely forgot. And I mean, this is not a current Canuck, but a former Canuck could potentially be traded again at the deadline. I'm talking about Kiefer Sherwood. Apparently the Sharks are shopping Sherwood already, which kind of makes you feel like the Canucks got a steal in that trade, getting the 2 second-round picks, and now the Sharks are thinking about flipping them at the deadline. What are your thoughts on that? That kind of actually surprises me.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Sharks' schedule. How have they've fallen right in the standings since they've got him? Not because of him, obviously, but I'm not saying that. But yeah, I wouldn't blame them if they brought him in with the hope of almost being their final piece in helping secure a playoff spot, and not because of him solely, but if it hasn't happened, remember, he's the same contract situation as he was here. He's still a UFA. He's still going to want to make his $5 to $5.5 million. And maybe San Jose's saying, actually, I'm not sure if he's going to be worth it. Yeah. That's very interesting, man. That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that kind of caught me off guard. I was like, what? You guys wanted Sherwood and now you don't want him? I mean, if it is true that they're shopping him, teams are going to line up for Sherwood.
Yeah. Yes.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he was traded, well, I guess within the next week or just on deadline day. But I just thought that was very interesting that they're looking to flip Sherwood already.
Yeah, you make a good point. The Canucks did well
we
then,
touched on
if that trade. Yep, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
Mm-hmm. You touched on it briefly earlier, but your thoughts on the Jim Rutherford interview and what you took from it?
Yeah, he's. I've said this before, Tyler, both to you and on my own show. I like it when he speaks because he's totally old school. He's so honest. He knows that he says more than he should. He's trying to learn, right? Because he knows that he's just kind of drops. I shouldn't say drops bomb. That's a bad analogy for the time, in all seriousness. So he just kind of says stuff and then he lets people clean up the mess afterwards. But I always appreciate his candor, Tyler. I think there are a couple of things that I would disagree with a little bit. Like he seemed to make it sound like Hughes and Miller drove the team. Maybe they did actually. Hughes from a skill standpoint, Miller from a fire and brimstone standpoint. But in saying that, I get it. He was trying to give them a lot of credit, but he kind of like slammed the rest of his roster at the same time by saying those are the two guys that drove everything. But overall, he was very honest about the Myers situation, just saying we have a deal. We didn't say what team, just said Myers has earned the right to think about it. He did reiterate the fact that the rebuild has started because they've been acquiring young players, and nurturing young players for a little bit now. I do like that he said the timing of the Minnesota trade for Hughes was good because they felt that they could maximize return, and they did. And I like the fact that he's really high on his 3 young defensemen, right? In Verlander, DPD, and Buyam, which he should be. And you got to start from the back end out. And I know we got issues with Demko's injury and stuff, but at least we have some good defensemen, some decent forwards, some guys on the way up, and then hopefully a top 3. Well, definitely a top 3, but hopefully a number 1 draft pick. So in this one, Tyler, to answer your question, I don't think he said anything earth shattering, but I do like and I do appreciate the way he's not afraid to answer questions and not afraid to talk less guardedly than, say, Alvin, whether that's a language thing or just anyone else. I kind of find it refreshing, although sometimes you just never know what he's going to say, but that's good for us as content creators, right? Mm-hmm. But saying all that, though, I don't think there was anything in this one that was, say, as earth-shattering as other ones. I don't know if you'd agree with me that way.
Oh, definitely, for sure. Although I did quite like that little quip about Canadian players. I got actually quite the laugh out of that one. We need more Canadian players. Well, there's one projected to be going potentially first overall. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
So you can start there.
Yeah, it was funny. He was complimentary about the Sedins and how influential they are. The fact that they don't go back to Sweden until the summer, so they're here, they're committed, and that's why not especially Swedes, but other Europeans are attracted to play here. And that can be true. But then the very next sentence, you're right, Tyler, he says, but we need more Canadian players.
Yeah. I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah.
Do you think anyone else is going to get dealt in the offseason if they don't get traded at the deadline?
Oh, interesting. In the offseason as opposed to the deadline. Yeah, I'd back it up one step and say the 3 that we thought were automatic, Kane, Kampf, Bluger, I don't even know if they're automatic now, because Bluger, every day that goes by, I kind of think we should keep him if he wants to be here. But I get it. That's poor asset management. And Kampf and Kane, I honestly don't know how much you're going to get for them. Is it still worth it if you get a 4th or 5th or 6th rounder? I don't know. And then so the guys, Garland's the interesting one because his full no move kicks in July 1st. So he would be the one that I could say might not get moved by this trade deadline, but could get moved by July the 1st. He would be the one I'd have my eye on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Garland is more of an off-season trade than especially with the Canucks, still wrestling with that idea. Even though lately they've become more open, supposedly, but they've really been struggling with, should we trade him? Do we really want to keep him? Should we keep him? Just that wrestling with the idea of it. I think more so a move will happen in the off season because they'll maybe have more suitors for him than at the deadline. And that's just my opinion on that. But I could definitely see Garland. Maybe I actually wouldn't even be surprised if DeBrusk, if you can add DeBrusk to that, he might get dealt in the offseason.
What's your thoughts on this? I was going to say, Tyler, what's your thoughts on this narrative that Drew O'Connor is suddenly like one of our most marketable guys because he got 14 goals on our team, like leading the team and everything, and cheap.
I think I actually did a video kind of like speculating on it without. I can't remember if I had an actual article that I based it off of, but I was just thinking, what if we traded Drew O'Connor? Especially with the season that he's put together, maybe he could be another like sneaky trade, like the Sherwood trade. Like he could get maybe at least 1 second, maybe 3rd round pick for him, and it could be a steal. So I would be totally open to that if they went down that route. I would have no bones about it. Capitalize on him playing well. I know he was G's whipping boy earlier on in the season. Just like Lankinen's been my whipping boy as of late. Just because I don't know if you noticed, but I'm a big Tolo guy now. At least according to Joe, I'm all about the YOLO Tolo, as I like to say, as I coined yesterday. Actually, that was actually a question I wanted to ask you. speaking of Tolo, do you think Tolo plays more down the stretch?
Oh yeah,
Especially with how Lankinen's been playing.
I do. So we take Demko out of the equation. Now it's Lankinen with Tolopil. Yeah, why not? Because you're not. Yeah, it's both things. You're actually not trying to move up in the standings or points wise in the race, and Lankinen isn't playing well. So actually, as I say that, Tyler, you could argue you could still play Lankinen and you still don't have to worry about moving up the standings. But yeah, there's no point. You have Lankinen for a few more years. Who knows what Demko's health is? So why not get Tolopil? You don't have to play Lankinen in the ground. There's absolutely no need because you're not chasing anything. So I could see a close to 50-50 split or even a 60-40, but it certainly won't be like 3-1 or anything like that going forward.
For sure.
What do you like about Tolopil? Everything? Size, structure, calmness, attitude, everything?
I really like his size, and I definitely like the calmness, especially since it's the complete opposite of what Lankinen's been showing as of late. That actually drives me bonkers. Like even watching the game last night, seeing Lankinen out of position, flopping around like a fish, or swimming in the crease, and that's like, dude, just calm down. Don't be so frantic. I think of the movie Bad Boys. I don't know if you've seen that, but woosah.
Yeah, just
yeah. So yeah, that's
true.
one thing I really do like about Tolo is the size and the calmness. It actually reminds me of, and I think someone actually pointed this out. I can't remember who, but it reminds people of Demko. Calm in the crease. Maybe obviously Tolo has a bit more size on him, but I just like a really, really big goalie. So.
Yeah. Even
and Tolopilo is cool to say too.
Yeah. And I was going to say, also cool to say and also big, but I can't say it. That Aku Koskanvio, he's massive too. Like it's like Lankinen's the antithesis of all these big guys, right? And then also, I guess Medvedev or draft pick, he's small, but he's athletic. Or no, he's not that small. But yeah, Lankinen is definitely the opposite of Tolo and Demko and Koskanvio for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did have this question, kind of shifting a little bit back to the draft. And actually, if the chat wants to answer this question too, by all means, feel free to answer it in the chat. But I'm going to pose this to you guys. If the Canucks found a way to get the first overall pick, so we're going to go with that scenario, they get the first overall pick. They pick McKenna, make some moves on deadline day, as well as, on draft day. Actually, I should say on draft day, not deadline day, to get into the top 10, to get another first round pick in the top 10. I'm thinking towards the end, not towards the beginning, but towards the end. Who would you want them to choose?
Wow. Of course, it depends on what number that is, but someone who you describe in the 6 to 10, like Caleb Malhotra, sounds good to me, right? For obvious reasons. First and foremost, he's a really good player, and secondly, the family connection. But yeah, if you're looking at it like a second pick in the top 10, no matter how they get it, I would look at that, especially if, then you can have the forward, because I think you're not set on D, but at least you have a lot of young defensemen. So if and you could argue that Coots is the only one up front that we really have a lot of potential. And like Ogren's here to stay, I think, which is good. Lekkerimäki, jury's out. But imagine if you're bringing McKenna and Malhotra up with Coots, that's like a whole line or a whole like half of your top 6, right? Eventually. Yeah, I look at Caleb Malhotra. Admittedly, I don't know. I know like the 3 guys up top, right, that we always talk about in McKenna and Stenberg and Verhoeven. And then I go, and then I know that Caleb Malhotra somewhere in there as well. So that's who I'm going with.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exact. That was literally what I was thinking when I was typing up the question too. I was like,
yeah,
got to be Caleb. It's got find a way to get Caleb. Speaking of McKenna, though, are you still leaning towards McKenna or Stenberg?
Yes.
Or what was it
100%.
McKenna that you were leaning towards?
Yeah, it was always, I got a little bit tempted or swayed a little bit at the World Juniors, right? And then McKenna has his legal trouble, blah, blah, blah. But to me, the whole ceiling thing, Stenberg's more NHL right now. McKenna's got the way higher ceiling. I think the number one pick, you got to go with that. You have to go with potential and ceiling. And it's not like his floor is bad. It's not like he's either going to be sucky or he's going to be really good. No, he's still going to be good if he right away. But I think he can be great. He can be great. Didn't he put up those 9 or 10 points on one weekend or something?
Yeah, it was 8 points. I want to say maybe a week and a half ago, and that really got my attention. I'll admit I was leaning towards Stenberg for a while, but I'm kind of stuck in the mushy middle right now. But I am kind of leaning slightly over towards McKenna.
Yeah.
One, because he's Canadian, and after what Rutherford said, and two, seeing him put up 8 points and the fact that he's been lighting it up ever since the World Juniors, he's been lighting it up. So it's like, okay, I'll take McKenna for 500, please. Thank you. But yeah, no, I'm leaning more and more towards McKenna as the draft gets closer. So, and you know, I just think it would be like, this is not a spite on Stenberg. I think Stenberg would still be great, but if you got a guy like McKenna who can, you know, if PD sticks around for this rebuild, I just love the idea. I mean, same thing with Stenberg too. You can say the same thing for Stenberg, but I would just love and probably froth at the mouth seeing McKenna play with PD. So
yep. And then you roll out a line of Malhotra and whoever behind it. Malhotra's the center, right? So Malhotra and Coots play the same position. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. No, I'm with you. I'll take McKenna. Maybe I don't know if we can wait that long, but maybe it's going to take McKenna to get PD out of his funk.
maybe. But no, I think that's all I had for Canuck stuff. But I wanted to do a little bit of wrestling talk, just because I know you and I both like wrestling. We're into it, and we don't really get a chance to really talk about it.
Yep.
So your just quick thoughts. Like, I'm not sure if you watched Elimination Chamber yesterday. It's okay if you didn't. I didn't either. I saw like highlights and clips and whatnot. Your thoughts on what they got lined up for WrestleMania so far?
Yeah, I think the Punk Reigns one, that's very intriguing just because of Paul Heyman and you could argue those are the two most over guys right now, right? And then on the other side, you know, they say it's Drew and Randy Orton because Orton won, but I think it could be a 4-way with Rhodes and Fatu. Just not as intriguing, admittedly. You know, now you got Jade Cargill, Rhea Ripley. That's kind of, you know, two powerhouses. That's cool. Then Vecker and Liv Morgan, and then everything else in between. You know, obviously they don't have a story as captivating as the Bloodline, but that story was amazing. That they caught lightning in a bottle, and I don't know if that's ever going to be replicated again. To be honest with you, that just the intrigue and the layers and they ran that story, man, for 3 or 4 years, right? And you hear of all these attendance issues, how much money it's costing to go to WrestleMania, and all these things, trips overseas. Selling out, blah blah blah. So I think the luster has kind of worn down since Bloodline, since Netflix, TKO, all those things. Now it's just a matter of just putting on some really, really good shows, really good storylines, really good character development. So all to say, I'm excited about maybe Reigns Punk, but that's about it so far. I'll still find a way to catch it replay or through Netflix or whatever, but I don't know if I'll be like dropping everything to watch it, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I don't watch it as much as I used to, I will admit. Like I'll still watch like clips on YouTube and whatnot, and you know, I'll see something on Twitter. But I'm really kind of looking forward to the Liv Vakir match. And I'll admit I'm a big Liv Morgan guy. Like I absolutely love Liv Morgan. I have for years. And I'll admit, I kind of hope she beats Vakir, even though I love Vakir as well.
Yeah.
I'm just more so on the Liv Morgan train.
Sure.
But yeah, that's just my thought on that. I am intrigued by the Ripley Cargill. I think that's going to be actually pretty darn good.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I don't really see much that I'm kind of, you know, pumped for. other than, like you said, Punk and Reigns.
Yeah.
But I
And-
did
and-
want to
Yeah. Go ahead.
ask
Sorry.
you as well. Obviously, last week, the AJ Styles retirement thing, and the Hall of Fame induction. I'll admit, when they did that match at the Royal Rumble, I was hoping for AJ to win. And when he lost, I'll admit I was a little shocked. Just because, they had just had Gunther retire Cena, and then they did it with AJ. And I've been a fan of AJ since long before he signed with the WWE. I was a fan of his in TNA, in New Japan. I've loved AJ since like the early 2000s. So, seeing him retire, going like, I'll admit it got me a little emotional just because it is AJ. Like I remember, I'll do a quick little story. I remember going to WrestleMania 32. Was it 32? It was the one in Dallas.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I got to see him wrestle live for the first time in his WrestleMania debut. Yeah, that's something that I'm very thankful to my wife for, and her parents. That was actually the first time I met her parents, was at WrestleMania. They took me out to Dallas for WrestleMania.
Well, what a first place to meet your parent. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we went to, obviously, WrestleMania access, and that was absolutely amazing. I got all my AJ merch. Like, I got the hat, I got the shirt, I got the gloves. I'm pretty sure there's a picture on Facebook of me holding up a Slammy Award with the AJ Styles gloves. So yeah, I've been huge AJ Styles fan. So like I said, I was pretty emotional hearing that he was retiring. And then I heard it was like neck issues. He was actually having neck issues. That was the reason for it. And then they had the tribute this past Monday for AJ. They had, the likes of Frankie Kazarian, Abyss, a bunch of guys from TNA, Bobby Roode, who actually worked for the company now. And then, AJ, doing his spiel. I'll admit it was a little difficult not choking up a little bit, especially with that tribute video they did using Higher from Creed. I don't know what it is about that song, but it just gets you. And then, of course, the big reveal with The Undertaker at the end. I just thought that was so genuine, like AJ's reaction with his family, hearing AJ talk about his wife as well. What did you think about that whole segment, that whole, tribute towards AJ?
Yeah, I thought it was done well. Conspiracy theorists would say they did that Hall of Fame thing to block him from going back to going to AEW or whatever. But yeah, it was nice when Undertaker came out. Remember that Buried Alive match they had for a few years ago? That was quite more of a cinematic masterpiece kind of thing. Very, very good. Yeah, he's one of those guys who he never attained the same level of success of, say, as Roman or Cena or whatever. Just maybe a tier down, just as talented, maybe didn't have the mic skills or maybe didn't have the exact same physique but yeah, very, very safe worker. It sounds like everyone in the industry loves him. So yeah, I don't have the same adulation towards him that you do. Cause I like mine was say for like Ricky Steamboat and stuff like that. But no, your story, your tribute to him was phenomenal. See what I did there? And yes, no, I did think it was good. I thought they did a great job. They did justice to him on that retirement show for sure.
Definitely. Even having like the Good Brothers show up too.
Yeah.
I did watch a little thing with Carl Anderson after where he actually asked AJ, "Are you actually retiring? Like, I thought it was a joke. I thought you were, just going to go somewhere else." And he's like, "No, I'm done." So to see him like surprise even Carl Anderson was pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
But it also shows you, like it seems like it kind of was a little sudden. Like it felt like he was going to do something similar to what Cena did, at least when he first, saying, this is going to be my last year. I think he said that at, the beginning of the year. He's like, this is going to be my last year. And then within a month, he retired. So perhaps there were some lingering issues with his neck, I think he mentioned. But which sucks. But hey, at least he's making, the right decision. He's not being stubborn about it and continuing on. And,
Right.
he gets to be, it's like what he said in that promo. He gets to do the one thing he hasn't done yet. That's be a full-time dad.
Awesome.
So I'll admit that kind of choked me up a bit, hearing that. I'm sure it choked up a lot of people too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yes.
I just wanted to throw in
Yeah, I
a
like
little
Irvin's
bit of
question.
that
Irvin
as well.
says, yeah, what's a dream AJ Styles match that we never got? I don't know if he ever fought, like, to me, the two that pop out the same era. Did he ever fight Shawn Michaels or did he ever fight Kurt Angle? Like, those are two that I think would be stylistically would be really cool to watch. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe he
definitely
has fought
Sean
them.
for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely
yeah.
Sean. Irvin, yeah. Sean, I don't think so. But yeah, Eddie Guerrero, definitely. Eddie's actually one of my all-time favorites.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that would be great. But I also can't help but think if he had squared up against Triple H, I think that would have been great too. Him and Triple H. He did wrestle Kurt a lot in TNA.
Of course.
That did take
Yes,
place.
Yeah.
Obviously, he wrestled like the likes of Sting as well in TNA. And I guess that was one thing about that WrestleMania too. That was when Sting got inducted into the Hall of Fame. So that was also pretty special, getting to see that live because we actually went to the Hall of Fame after I proposed. So there's a little.
Wow, that was a busy weekend for you, Tyler.
Yeah. Don't worry. I'm sure. Maybe if you have me on your show, like around my birthday or something, I'll actually go into the full story of that. If we have actually time around that, or maybe in a one-on-one with you and me, I can share more details on that story if you want. But yeah,
I'll hold you to that. That's awesome, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and maybe I'll go looking for those pictures too. Again, you can probably, if you have me on Facebook, you can probably find them somewhere buried. But I'm pretty sure for sure that one picture of me holding this the Slammy Award is definitely, I know for a fact, is on there, and it's quite funny. You see me just standing there, just holding it. So, but yeah.
Okay, I'll go look for it. I promise.
All right. Yeah, sure. Do you have to run? Or
yeah, in the next few minutes, I got maybe 5. Yeah. Well, I don't want to. I'm not going to limit you. Yeah, no, 5 minutes would be good. Yep.
All right. Well, I guess in that case, let's go through chat a little bit,
Sure.
and I'm gonna have to go back up a little bit. Apparently, we were talking about Malhotra. Apparently, he's shot up to number 4 on mock draft boards. So
Wow.
if we wanted Malhotra, we might have to try and get 4th overall. But
Yeah,
I'm also not surprised by that.
Yes.
At all.
Yeah. I'm looking at the Sportsnet one. Yeah, this was done a month ago. They had they have Stenberg, Verhoff, McKenna, and then Malhotra, Lawrence, and Reed. So center, right D. Interesting. Yeah, I could see him being high on a lot of. Yeah. Okay, I'll have to aim for someone else then.
Did you say that was Sportsnet?
Yeah, but a month ago though. This is dated January
A month ago.
14. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Because you said they have McKenna at 3.
Yeah, a month ago. Yes.
Well, I mean, we've been hearing that the Canucks are most likely to pick number 3. So there you go. I mean, if that does hold up, I'm sure that has changed probably since with Malhotra's 8-point game. I'm sure he's shot maybe up a couple spots.
Yeah.
After that.
I'm with you.
Let's see. Big brain rain, as G and I like to say. Good to know that McKenna stepped up his game at the NCAA after facing criticism for his defensive inconsistency at the World Juniors. Yeah, he definitely has stepped it up since the World Juniors. Although you could argue he played still pretty well at the World Juniors. I think people just had very high expectations of him like lighting it up, kind of like how Bedard did. What was it? A year or two ago, or when Bedard played in the juniors before he was drafted. I think they saw that as, you know, the bar for like expectations, and he didn't really hit that bar, even though he still played very well. It was actually Stenberg who kind of hit that bar, but I still thought he played decently in the World Juniors, like good enough to be noticed. But I think a lot of people, like I said, had a lot of high expectations for him and were expecting him to light it up.
Yeah, and he had 14 points in 7 games. That's still pretty good. Like, but I think if they had won the gold medal, right, or if he was far and away the best player, then you almost overlook his defensive inconsistency or the faults in this game. But the fact that you could argue Stenberg outplayed him, you could argue that they just came up short, which they did. Then anyone naturally would kind of look more for faults and everything. But I agree. Yeah, you're not drafting him for his defensive talent. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Urban does mention, I guess, an answer to that question. He mentions Malhotra or Vigo Bjork.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I've kind of forgotten about Bjork, just because I guess all the attention has been on, you know, McKenna, Malhotra, Stenberg, Bierhoff.
Yeah, Bjork was good.
So yeah, I guess Bjork could be a good one. Bjork.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I like how Alfred
still leaning towards Malhotra.
Yes. Alfred has that comment about he'd rather not play McKenna with Petey. That's interesting. I don't think Alfred's high on Petey right now.
No.
Which is fine. Yes.
No, I think it's been a while since Alfred's been high on Petey. I remember, what was it, a while back? He was calling to strip him of the A, wasn't he? At one point.
Yeah. That's right.
I very fondly remember. And yeah, hey, we could get Vigo. I mean, we already have Vigo's brother, so Vigo would fit right in.
Yeah.
Although I will admit, I've noticed the chatter about the Ruck twins has kind of cooled off a little bit. Have you noticed?
I was just going to say the exact same thing. And maybe it's because, admittedly, we've been doing Olympic hockey, like we've been focused on the Olympics for the past 3 weeks, right? So, but that's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still game for a couple more twins, but I've just noticed that it's kind of cooled off a little bit.
Yeah. Can you imagine if we have Pedersen, Bjork, Ruck, like Malhotra, player Malhotra, like coach?
That would be a broadcaster's freaking worst nightmare. I'll tell you that. And Shorty would probably have a freaking heart attack over that.
Yeah.
I think he already struggles enough with the Pedersens already.
Yeah. That's funny. That's really funny.
Yeah. Just anymore. I mean, Alfred apparently is still game for drafting the Rocks.
Yep. Yeah, you never know, especially if depending how the draft goes on in the second day, and if there's moves to be made. And I have no problem, especially if you have like 4 or 5 picks in the top 2 rounds. I have no problem taking a flyer on the Ruck brothers, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely wouldn't hurt. Urban, bring the ruckus. Yeah.
I like it.
I'll probably be talking a lot more about the Ruck twins when I have Dave Hall on, when we do our draft, like closer towards the draft.
Awesome.
I'll probably get, because he's the go-to guy for prospects. So I'll definitely bring the ruckus to that live stream for sure.
Good. We'll hold you to that. That sounds good.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I mentioned this on the post game. Big Brain, Rain, and I are gonna do a JT Miller video. I already told Rain, hold me to it, because I know Rain's been wanting to do this for a very, very long time, and I got to do it before G, steals the topic. Jokingly.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Very good.
But yeah. All right, we're just at. I think that's been another 5 minutes. Is there any like last parting things you want to say or discuss real quick before I let you go?
Yeah, I'm just curious, Tyler, how I know everyone's got family stuff going on, everyone's got other priorities, but I find that maybe it's coming out of the Olympics because the Canucks have played so poorly and because there hasn't been any movement on the trade front so far, and we still have a few days to figure that out. I'm not less motivated, but I'm certainly I'm in a weird space, but this team, this fan base, it's in a weird space, and I feel like there's all these content creators that are just kind of, I wouldn't say spinning your wheels. I wouldn't never say that about you, but for me, I'll admit, like, there's only so much you can talk about. There's only so much you can speculate on. I want some actual material things to talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I 100% hear you on that. That was basically me during the Olympics.
Yes.
Because I put up a couple Olympic videos. Views weren't really there. So I kind of stopped doing it. And then, of course, once the Olympics ended, some Canucks news kind of trickled through. Although I did sprinkle a little bit during the Olympics as well.
Yeah.
And obviously you don't want to risk, putting out, like, talking about the same things over and over again. That's one thing I have noticed with some of this trade speculation. You don't want to just keep talking about the same thing, over and over again, like the same players, over and over again. You want to be like, okay, so we've talked about Jake DeBrusk, we've talked about Brock Besser, we've talked about PD multiple times, talked about this person. Give me another Canuck who could potentially be traded that I can, sink my teeth into. Give me another name. But I guess that's also kind of the limitations of just doing Canucks content, which most certainly Gio probably doesn't have to worry about because he does like NHL as a whole, which that probably doesn't really affect him.
Yes.
Just because he's not covering just the Canucks, he does cover other teams. And obviously, of course, he's pumping out like 5-6 videos a day. So, and I know he was covering the Olympics too, and he had some great Olympics content. But he's we talk about Russell being a machine. I have to admit, Gio is a freaking machine, dude. Like he's just pumping it out. But yeah, and I guess that I have contemplated maybe doing that. But I think I actually no, I'll take that back. I think I did try and dip my toe into that, and it didn't really work. Because I didn't have I want to make sure I obviously have the right information and I'm not incorrect. And I don't know a lot about other teams, so my main focus is on the Canucks. It's what I know, so it's just not for everyone to cover the entirety.
And before I go, I must do a mea culpa. So I'm looking at the thumbnail. That's a great picture of me in my my Rick Dhaliwal Hawaiian inspired shirt. But what's so funny is I know we've been trading messages all week. I missed the memo. It was me that we were going live. Like I thought we were going tape to whatever, which was fine, but I was still fine. And as soon as I went backstage, I clicked on the link and I saw that your live thing was I was like, oh shoot, I better make sure I'm on my best behavior. So thank you for having me on here, and I always appreciate the invite for sure. And I hope for both of us that there's some news this week that we can pump out content that's not repetitive, as you mentioned, and redundant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll admit it's been difficult the last week or so. I've had to double check myself, be like, did I already talk about this? Or even when I'm typing up my script, I'm like, did I already say this? Or is this worded differently? Yeah, that picture took me a while actually to find. I I went searching for that one, and I was like, that's the one. I like that one.
I like it
but
too.
yeah,
I don't even know where that's
I'm
from.
really glad we were able to do this. Like I said at the top, long time. I think I just found it on X. I just went
Okay,
through
cool.
X, was like, oh, that's a nice, high quality picture. And there's nothing, in the way where I can just, get rid of the background real quick and boom. But, I'm really glad we were able to do this. Long time coming. I know feels like we said we would do this a while ago, and things just obviously, got in the way. But I'm glad we were able to do it. And I just remembered, I still have those tickets, those grouse tickets. Whenever you are doing another giveaway, I still have those.
Yes.
So if you're
Awesome.
still interested in doing that, I'm sure we can talk about that off camera and whatnot. But I was just literally just looked at them. I was like, oh yeah, those are still there. So
Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate that. Well, keep up the good work, man. Keep it up. Keep grinding. I don't know in what terms it'll pay off. I don't know what each of our motivations are, but let's just, as long as we have stuff to talk about that's positive and that's moving this team and our channels forward, that's, I guess, all we can hope for, right?
yeah, absolutely, 100%. Oops, that might be another little bit gimmick infringement because 100% hockey, 100% Canucks. I need to get a little bit better at that. No,
we share everything. Everyone shares everything.
That was totally on purpose.
Perfect.
It's gay, John Shannon. You can send me the bill. But thank you again, Clay. Once again, like I said at the top, you are I really do. I've said it to you a lot when we've had our, one-on-ones. I do really treasure your friendship. I just see you as a mentor. I think a lot of us do. I think I can't really speak for Gerald, but kind of can't. But he's the same thing, I believe. I'm paraphrasing, I think, but we're definitely a mentor to guys like Doodle, Russ, Witt, Jordan, everyone. And hey, if it wasn't for Clay, there would be no line change. There would probably be no Canucks Uncensored. So we definitely thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you, Tyler. And the last thing I'll say, and then I'll let you do the wrap up. Apparently, you're supposed to do a booyah at the end or whatever you want. But I've always said that in this market, especially when the team's doing well, because I think when the team's doing poorly, it's a weird time to start a channel. Not like that's not a shot at anyone. It's just harder. It's just the fact of the matter is it's harder to gain momentum. Parker and I learned that when we tried to start Canucks After Dark when the team sucked, and then they had a couple good seasons. But there's always room in this market for content creators who are passionate, who know their stuff, who simply want to share a voice. So I never look at older channels, newer channels as competition. Some are way bigger than mine. Some are way smaller than mine. And the point is, if we can support each other as opposed to tear each other down, that's the most important thing to me. So I appreciate your kind words, and I appreciate it whenever content creators come on the scene, as long as they're doing good, honest work. I think it's awesome stuff.
Definitely, very, very well said. And yeah, wait, just end the stream with booyah. Well, I'll just go ahead and say booyah or booyum. By the way, I don't know why this dawned on me whenever you do your booyah. I just think it would have been really. I mean, you could still probably do it if you wanted to. Not that there's any pressure, but when the booyum trade happened, I thought it would have been really cool if you went booyum instead of booyah. But again, no pressure on that.
Yeah, when he scores, I'll do that. Thank you.
Sounds good. I'll hold you to that. There we go.
Perfect.
There we go. But yeah, thanks again, buddy. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to talking to you maybe later on in the week or down the road. You're streaming tonight, right?
Yeah, back to normal. For 4 nights this week, Sunday through Wednesday. Then Thursday I'll be out of town, but I might be tuning into another show that night that's making their auspicious debut. So I can't wait for that.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I am too. Definitely for sure. But yeah, thanks again, Clay. Really appreciate it, bud.
Awesome. Take care, Tyler. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Oops. Here, I just realized I did not do my sponsor. Whoops. So I'm gonna do that. Man, this is twice now. Although I don't know if you saw any bit of the post game, but I got the wrong score on the scoreboard. I don't know if you saw that. I actually ended up changing it midstream. But no, I'm going to thank my sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for the fastest game on ice. With player props and live betting, every shift, every shot, every save gives you options to get in on the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN, that's code THPN, to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois, 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario, restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which will expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. This is a limited time offer. Copyright 2026 NHL, all rights reserved. This video has been a presentation of both DraftKings Sportsbook as well as the Hockey Podcast Network. Be sure to check out the network for your favorite podcast covering your favorite team at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com, the home of hockey podcasts, where it's every team, everywhere. If you want to stay up to date on all your Bank for Canucks content, be sure to hit that like button and smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of our content. Also, if you guys are interested, we do have our merchandise store, thelinechangepodcast.threadless.com. If you want to be a part of the discussion, join our official Discord. There's a link to it in the description down below. It's completely free to join, so go ahead and do so if you wish. You can find and interact with us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, even Blue Sky. Feel free to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms. Speaking of platforms, if you prefer an audio version of this podcast, you can find us on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. On Spotify, feel free to give us a follow, as well as rate and reviews on either platform. It's, of course, greatly appreciated. And also, if you had a favorite episode that you just can't get enough of and want to download, you can do that as well. That really also helps out the podcast as well. And we, of course, greatly appreciate it as well. And there we go. Thanks once again, guys, for watching. Here, actually, let me find my... There we go. If you guys enjoyed this video, once again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe. Subscribe to Canuck Clay, as well as... Crud, I forgot Geraldine Urban's name again.
Hockey Headspace.
But Hockey, yeah, feel free to subscribe to Hockey Headspace, and also drop your comments down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll catch you guys on the next line change. Boo, yeah. All right, wrong. I gotta hit end stream.